Gary Gold, thank you so much for being on the podcast with me.
Yeah, no worries.
How's your day going?
It's doing okay. Doing okay.
Good. So you sell the Playboy Mansion for $100 million. You sell the Chartwell Estate. 105 million. Sorry. You sell the Chartwell Estate, and that was listed at $350 million. And it closed for $150 million,
right.
I believe. That's insane. So let's kind of zoom out though. Like, what is the beginning of your career like? How did you get from basically zero to where you're at now?
Well, when I was 17, I tried to paint my car. And then I discovered something that I carry with me to today, that Jews should not try to paint cars. Most manual labor we're just not suited for.
Right.
I destroyed my car, and I had no car. And my brother had been in real estate for about 3 years, I think, 2 or 3 years, and he was doing really well. And he said, come work for me, and I'll buy you a car. So I had no desire to be in real estate. He just says, I'll buy you a car. And he hired me to do he goes, I want you to do all my marketing. And I said, tell me what you want. I'll go down to the market right now. He goes, no, I want you to promote me. I don't want you to go to the market. I didn't know what marketing was. I was in high school. And he goes, I want you to promote me. He goes, specifically, I need new signs and I want them bigger. I don't want them to look like everyone else's. I want to do some mailing, and I need more open house signs too. And I want to make those bigger. And then I'd like to do some promotional things like kitchen magnets or something like that. And he goes, and don't ask me any questions. Here's a credit card. Here's a checkbook. I know. He was 21. He goes, I don't know much more than you do. Just do it. So at that time, I was in high school. I didn't have any special marketing skills. The only skills I had was I was a smartass, and I was funny. And I'd like to make fun of my brother as he liked to make fun of me. And my brother was a very eccentric guy. He had long hair. He only wore tennis shorts, maybe long sweats if it's super cold.
And this is an older brother?
Yeah. He was like 21. He was a good-looking guy, but he looked like a rock star, really. And at the time, the average age of a real estate agent was deceased. When people aged out of being like a Walmart greeter or working at like See's Candy,
right,
they would go into real estate. So my brother stuck out with being this young, different guy, and then he had the good sense of saying, let's push that. And there was one person that we did look at that came before us, a guy named Bob Wall. He was a actor and a martial artist, and he had been in like Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee, and he promoted himself as the kung fu martial artist real estate agent. And that was the only thing that we looked at. Okay, that guy's doing something to stand out. But my brother didn't give me any direction. And the only thing I knew from is A, I like to make fun of my brother. And B, we lived in an area, I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. And around us was the music business and the movie business and the TV business. And we would see here on Sunset Boulevard billboards of the latest record album,
right,
of the latest record release. We'd see movie posters. We would see the T-shirts from rock concerts. That's the kind of thing I was exposed to. I didn't say to myself at the time, I want to copy that type of thing and turn it into real estate. But I think looking back, I think it influenced me. So I went and I made his signs bigger, and everyone was like a white sign with black lettering.
Right.
Now, this sounds pretty normal today, but I did a black sign with white lettering, which looked like a Black Sabbath album. It just didn't look like normal. And I also had some glitter put into the paint, so when you drove by at night, it would illuminate. And instead of, he used to put up a few open house signs when they had an open house. I had 50 made. We used to put up 30, 40, 50 open house signs. So I figured if 3 is good, 30 is better. And again, outrageous, like guerrilla marketing at the time. I didn't know this. I was just trying to I just wanted attention.
Right.
I put 2 billboards on Ventura Boulevard. That was unheard of. No one did anything the really promotion at the time was a for sale sign, an open house sign, and real estate offices. And there were these these companies that own these offices, and real estate was growing like crazy. I think the amount of real estate agents tripled in like the last 3 years when I got in there. And because there was starting to be a lot of money to be made and people were jumping in. And then, so I put these billboards on Ventura Boulevard, and I turned my brother into a cartoon character. And I had him on the billboards. He was a gold miner. And I put, there's gold in these hills, and I had all the areas that we sold from Studio City to Woodland Hills, and my brother literally like a gold miner.
That's fun.
And on there I had these little discs that would shimmer when a little breeze would go by. And this was just unheard of to have a billboard, but I saw the billboards for rock stars and movie stars on Sunset. I wanted to copy that. And then I sent out postcards. And again, I turned my brother into this cartoon character, and we did these outrageous, in-your-face, funny, like postcards. And fortunately for me, and I did it all at once. I just did it all at once. I also sent out things to do pads. He wanted to do something promotional. I saw these things to do pads, but I had on every page, like first one I have in handwriting or handwriting script, call Rich Gold. The second page, did you forget to call Rich? Third one, the price of your property is going up. Call him for whatever. Yeah. And I just had all these things that looked like it was writing at the time. And I did it in a different color, like it was blue and everything else was black and white. So I did this all at once. I don't think the San Fernando Valley, from the Studio City to Woodland Hills, knew it hit them, because everyone was so conservative and so staid, and everything was so cheap. I don't know if it was cheesy, but it was corny. And then I am like rock star, like trying to be funny, and everything was sarcastic. Nothing had anything to do with selling houses. I discovered, I didn't realize that I kind of discovered for real estate agents, there could have been other people doing the same thing for all I know, but I didn't know about it. Like creating a personal brand for my brother and getting attention. I mean, which is very relevant today, or at least it has been for the last few years. So my whole objective was just to look at me, get attention. So there was no genius behind it. There was no strategy. It just happened to be the right thing at the right time. And me and my brother, working in his apartment on Burbank Boulevard, looked like the dominant player within about 3 months.
Wow.
And there were offices. There was Fred Sands, Harley Sandler, Coldwell Banker, a handful of others, and John Douglas, and me and him, and I wasn't even an agent at the time. We looked like, it was like all of them or Rich Gold. And his name was Rich Gold. And what my brother told me, he goes, I love the idea. If someone meets a bunch of agents, they're going to think of, should I pick Fred Sands, Harley Sandler, John Douglas, this group, or Rich Gold?
Man.
One person.
Right.
So the odds of that just increases significantly. And we did become massively dominant in a very short period of time with a very small group of people working under us. And that's how I got into real estate. I had no desire to do it. I just wanted to make fun of my brother and get attention for myself.
I like that. Right. I really like that.
Right.
Did anyone ever doubt you in your career?
Me?
Yeah.
I didn't really want to be in real estate. I wanted to be in the music business or being a writer or comedian. That's my world that I wanted to be part of. So I never really wanted to do it. I just ended up pretty, at a very young age, making good money at it. So it became something I did. I remember my dad would say, when are you going to get a real job? And he didn't, at the time, being a real estate agent didn't look like a career path for some young person trying to make their mark.
Right.
Today, it's nobody ever grew up saying, one day I want to be a real estate agent. Back then. Now there's people absolutely do that. And there's a lot more money in it. The numbers are bigger. and it's grown up. It's become a very sophisticated business.
Right.
When I first got in real estate, I don't know if you're going to relate to this. You're 18, but a purchase agreement was 2 pages, and a listing agreement was 1 page.
Wow.
Now you measure it by inches or gigabytes.
Right.
I mean,
and how is it different? Because I know that now, in order to obtain a real estate license, you have to take like the 60-hour course. It was the same thing.
Yeah, it was the same thing. And it's really interesting. The real estate course is just one of those things you have to pass. They don't relate that much to actual application of real estate.
I see. That's what I heard a lot. Everybody's like, because I was actually thinking about getting my real estate license, and I was talking to a broker, and I'm like, I'm studying so hard, and like the work is actually pretty difficult. And she's like, yeah, but when you pass it, like, it doesn't really obtain to any of the material.
I mean, there's some topics that,
right.
Like ethics and all these things do matter, but you're learning about metes and bounds and when was this act passed?
Right,
it just
exactly.
doesn't have any application. But as one of my kids is going to college and the other one is just graduating high school, and both of them really didn't love school. And I said, listen, you need to learn how to learn. And you need to learn to have an objective that you need to overcome and get it done. So even though this is wax on, wax off shit. You've got to learn how to win. You've got to learn how to overcome things. And there's certain things in life you just got to do. And don't fight it, be good at it.
Right. Yeah. Who would you say is the most impactful person that you've ever met?
The most impactful in my real estate career or what?
Or just in your whole life?
Who's the most impactful person I've ever met? I don't know.
Maybe in your career, in your real estate career.
Well, there's 2 people who had a huge impact on my career. First, my brother. I am not a born salesman. I'm a born comedian. I'm creative. He is a born salesman. When we were I might have been 10 and he might have been 4. No, not even that. I might have been 8 and he could be like 11 or 12. We used to go out on Halloween. This is what a salesman my brother is. And we would go out the night before. I think a hustler would be a better word. And he's very smart. So we would go out the night before and hit one neighborhood and say, we're going out of town tomorrow and we're doing our Halloweening early. The day we would hit another neighborhood, the day of Halloween, and do it like regular. And then the day after, we would hit a third neighborhood and say, we weren't here for Halloween, so we're doing it now. And then everyone wanted to give you all their candy.
The leftovers.
And then he would stockpile all of the candy for like 3 months. And then 3 months later, he'd pull it up and he'd set up shop after school right next to the ice cream man and sell candy.
That is so funny.
So that is my brother. So he taught me real estate, and we would go out to dinner. He liked to go out to dinner at like 10 o'clock, but I'd literally go out to dinner with 5 nights a week, and he would teach me real estate because it just wasn't – I wasn't born to do it. I've now become very good, and I've done it in my own way. So he was a huge impact. And then the second huge impact was Jeff Hyland. When I was 30, I've known Jeff for about 7 years prior to that. And when I was 30 years old, I go, if I'm going to do real estate and it looks like that's what I'm going to do, I might as well go to the big leagues. I wanted to leave the valley and go to the city. And I interviewed everybody. And I had known him for a while because I was like his valley guy. If ever he had a buyer or a listing there, he'd call me. And he'd been hustling for me to come work for him. Because when are you going to come to Beverly Hills? And finally, when I was 30, I went to Beverly Hills and I worked under him. And I was the first agent at this legendary company called Alvarez, Highland & Young. I mean, I wasn't the first Alvarez, Highland & Young, but when that closed and he opened Hilton and Highland, which was the most successful single office in the world for several years, I was his first agent. And I came to work. So he'd been a big influence. And I would say the biggest influence he had is he had one thought in mind. He just wanted to sell the most expensive homes in one office, and that's it, and not waver at all. And he never opened multiple offices, never borrowed money, just built this company and remained very consistent.
Wow.
But he wasn't this great leader. He wasn't this great inspiring person. He just was consistent. And as a result of that and staying consistent for 30 years, he ended up building the most successful company that never changed what their kind of mission statement is.
Is he still around today?
No, he died
a
few years ago.
Wow.
And I'm not the only person that would say what I just said. There's a lot of people that would say that. And it's funny. He wasn't like some great manager. He was just... He was true to what he wanted to do and remained very consistent.
Wow. I like that. In real estate, is it about what you know or who you know?
Well, who you know can be acquired. Both of them can be acquired, and they're both important. I know a lot of people that are connected as connected could be, but they've got nothing to offer, and they don't. And you're not gonna survive. I know people. There was this one guy. It wasn't very moral. I mean, it was kind of a shyster, but the story is still true. He came from the island of Malta. He didn't know anybody, and he, in such a short period of time, became so successful. And there's a lot of people like that. If you actually learn something and understand on a deep level where you really are a specialist, especially an unserved group, that is what is the most valuable thing. Now, if you become a specialist and you don't make connections, it's not going to do you any good. So you do need both. You need both. Today, you need three things. You need like this air game, this getting attention and people realizing who you are just from out there in the stratosphere, on the internet, ChatGPT, whatever. My listings. Hey, listen, you get 10 listings in a neighborhood, you become famous. You need that.
Right.
And any way you can get it, you need that. And then you also need to create relationships. And as important as anything is you need to know what you're talking about. Now, the more specialized you are, the easier it is to know what you're talking about. If you try to know everything to everybody, it's going to be diluted.
Right.
But if I know this neighborhood or this price point and I study it, there's a guy named Drew Fenton, one of the best agents in the country. This guy, and he was the only person I knew at the time that grew up wanting to be a real estate agent. He just knows the market so well. Brandon Williams, same thing. And Kurt Rappaport, all of them. They know the market so well that at the end of the day is their superpower, and people come to them for that reason. So, not being knowledgeable today, not just having information, but having expertise, having intelligence. That's what it is. You need intelligence. You need to tell people the inside baseball that you can't just look it up. You have to understand what it means. And that's very nuanced today. Very nuanced, especially in luxury real estate. One of the big issues with luxury real estate is there's all these tangible reasons something is worth what it's worth. There's all these intangible reasons that something's worth that it's worth. There's all these reasons that you have control and you can control making it more or less valuable. And then there's ones you can't control. And most of the public can't, they can't break that down. They can't understand it. And they're often wishful thinking is where they come up with their price.
Right.
And then they'll interview a bunch of people who are agents, and they're going to interview 5, 6 agents, 3 agents, and every one of those agents is going to try to figure out, what do I need to say to get this listing?
Right.
Now, I don't think people try. First of all, the agent may or may not know what it's worth themselves because it gets very nuanced at the high end. But even if they do, they don't want to get – they want to be at bat. They don't want to get thrown out the door. So it's like, what can I say and what can I do? How can I play this?
Right.
So it's this really weird conversation that people have. Ultimately, things tend to sell for what they're worth, give or take 5 or 10%. That just tends to happen. There is some play in how it's all strategized, how it all plays out, but sellers often go into a listing and agents not knowing what it's going to sell for, but making assumptions what it's going to sell for.
Hence, like the Chartwell Estate, because it was listed for so high, $350 million, and then it's sold for 150, which is still a lot.
Yes, it was the most expensive home to sell in the United States that year, and the most expensive home to ever sell in Los Angeles.
Wow!
And the same thing with the Playboy Mansion. It was the most expensive home to ever sell at 100 at the time in Los Angeles, and it was the most expensive home to sell that year in the United States.
Wow!
You're trying to come up with an assumption, and you actually don't know what the price is because there's nothing to compare it to.
Right.
I have ways to evaluate that, and in both cases, it was not me that priced that. No one thought the Playboy Mansion was worth 200, and no one thought Chartwell was worth 350. With Chartwell, we really didn't know. We knew that at the time, the highest price was 120 ever, and we knew this was 10 acres in the 50-yard line in Los Angeles. Just couldn't be more perfect location. Right. And we were just trying to figure out what the demand for it was. I thought that price right out of the gate was too high. Now, fortunately, with something that noteworthy and that major, it almost didn't matter. So the price, we ended up, I think, reducing it to 250 and then sold it for 150. So it matters less in a home like that.
Right.
Someone is just not taking it with a grain of salt and then going in and seeing what's happening. And the same thing with the Playboy Mansion.
Right.
We never even put that in the MLS, but we ended up selling it for 105.
Wow.
I thought it was worth $100 million. So I was right on that one. I was less sure. I really didn't know what the demand for 10 acres would be. It turned out that at some point, a lot of the buyers thought it was too much. They didn't need that. Right.
What is the difference between a $10 million house and a $100 million house?
$90 million.
What is a $10 million or what does a $100 million house even look like? I don't even think I've been in one.
Well, there's two types of. Well, I'm just going to use Los Angeles because it varies depending on where you are. There's two types of $100 million homes that sell here. There's ones that are literally the land is all the value. The house could be spectacular, but it's secondary. The Playboy Mansion had intrinsic value because it was the Playboy Mansion, but that usually isn't the case. But it was 5 acres, and that's where the value was. It was a fixer. Chartwell was beautifully furnished. It looked great, but it hadn't been really anything done to it construction-wise other than keeping it maintained for like 25 years. The real value was the 10 acres. So that's one type where you're paying for this incredible one of a kind location and one of a kind piece of property that would be hard to assemble. The second type, it's all about the house. That would be like the one and that sold for 140. It was I think it was close to 100,000 foot house.
Wow.
Kind of not a great house, but it was so big and you couldn't duplicate that.
Right.
The land was worth maybe 20 or 30, but it was really all the house. It just cost so much to build that. Even though I think he had to put another 20 or 30 into it. Oh my gosh. This guy named Bruce Makowski sold, I think he called it Billionaire or the Millionaire or something like that on Bel Air Road. It was 100,000. It was a 1 acre lot. It was worth 20, at the time, probably $20 million, 15, 18. It was all house. And that was the value of that was just, you just bought this incredible house. Jay-Z and Beyonce bought this house in Malibu for $200. That was both. It was on this one-of-a-kind piece of property in Paradise Cove, and there's only so much Paradise Cove.
Right.
And and it also had this epic house. So that was a combo.
Wow.
But those are the two things that create the value. I mean, it's the lot. And when I say the lot, I also mean the view that comes with it and the location that comes with it. And then the house. Right. How valuable is that house? It's really hard to build a house today. And it's time consuming and expensive. So if you build like Aaron Spelling's house is like, you build 50,000 feet, it's going to cost you 50, 75.
Oh, yeah.
100, it's going to cost you $80 million. I don't even know how to price it because I'm not sure, but it's not $1,000 a foot to build that. It's more.
Right. What attracts so many billionaires to LA or Beverly Hills?
Well, it's when you look at the expensive houses, it's Beverly Hills. It's not just Beverly Hills. That's just what people know. But it's Beverly Hills, it's Bel Air, it's Holmby Hills. Those are the three that get the biggest. And then there's also Malibu, which is as expensive as anything. And then in the 50s, there's been Brentwood, and Palisades can get up to that. Wow. It could get higher. And, it's also potential to get up there in the West Hollywood area for the right thing. What attracts weather, Hollywood, it still has that vibe.
Right.
And it's just, it's one of the biggest economies in the world. Los Angeles has been for a long time just one of the most significant cities in the world. And everyone wants to be here for a certain period of time. Right. A lot of these houses are second, third houses, but hey, we have great weather.
Yeah.
We have great weather, and we've got smart people. There's so many people, so many things that have been created in California and in Los Angeles. So it's just, it's a magical place in that respect.
Right. Who even buys $1 million or $100 million house?
The person that can't afford the $200 million house.
And who can afford that? Like, do you see more people coming from internationally to buy a house like that, or it's right in America?
Yeah, that's been a misconception for a long time. And I remember a lot of clients go, we need to go after that international buyer. And I'm thinking to myself, you mean the 3% of people that buy homes in the United States? That's the market? You want to not focus on the 97%, but we're going to focus on the 3%. So there are international buyers that buy here, and sometimes it swells up and there's like a wave of them. But in general, it's Americans that buy these houses. Now, if you ask me, and that's changed a lot, when I started this in this business, probably 80% of my clients had American accents. And now at least half of them have an accent they're from somewhere else, but they're American. So that international thing is a misconception. Have there been Chinese people that come here and buy real estate, Japanese, from Europe, the Middle East? 100%. That does happen. But it's, even in the high end, it's not 10%. I mean, it's probably 5%.
Oh, wow. What are
But 5% is not insignificant.
No, not at all.
If 5% of the market changes, it'll hurt you, or or you have 5% more buyers that would buy that helps you.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
What are 3 characteristics that you must have in order to be successful in real estate?
You only need one characteristic to be successful in real estate. You need to be able to deliver. That's it. If you have a seller that wants to sell his house, you need to be able to deliver him a buyer and get that deal closed. You need to know how to get a deal done. If a buyer, you're not in real estate, right? You could get your license tomorrow. If you met someone looking for a certain type of home and you meet them at Starbucks and you go, I got the perfect house for you. They might not know you from Adam. They're going to jump in your car and go look at it. Seller, not so much. You got to get a little bit more credibility. But that's all you need to. The only thing you need to be successful in real estate is to execute. There are some people that these there's some people are just bad people in real estate. Like in general, that's not the case, but there's some people that go, how do anyone even do business with them? They're great agents. They know they have a certain skill and they do it. They could be total assholes, but they know how to deliver. And there's a group of people that probably love them because they know how to deliver. That's a nice person. My brother taught me that. He goes, they'll only remember you if you got the deal done.
Right.
So if you can execute, everything else is secondary. You can be any kind of person. I started when I was 17 and I started selling homes at 18. You can be 18 and be very successful. You can be 80, and that's not just a throwaway line. There are people around 80 that are some of the top agents in Los Angeles and New York. No one cares how old you are. They don't care how good looking you are. None of that stuff matters. Is it your ability to execute and persuade? That's it.
Right. I like that.
Yeah.
What is the best kind of real estate to buy today?
I would say that there's always an opportunity to cut a good deal. I think more importantly than what to buy, I think it's important that, and people always ask, is this a good time to buy a house? It's a good time to make a good deal. It's a horrible time to make a bad deal. So I think that's more important than anything. And when people come to me, when they have a house to sell or they have to buy, I explain to them the market. And then I go, okay, and it could be, this is a seller's, let's just say it's a seller's market.
Right.
And you're a buyer. I go, it's a seller's market. This is how we play it to get the best possible deal in a seller's market. Or a seller comes to me, I go, listen, the market's tight. Prices are down. There's less sales happening. This is how we play it so you are the next home to sell and you get the most amount of money. So I think your strategy to really be honest about what the market is that you're going into, because people tend to not buy real estate. That would be an investor. Mm-hmm. People don't tend to just buy real estate because it's a great opportunity. They buy it because they have a need.
Right.
So, and often when prices are really depressed, that's the best time to buy. So right now, I think office space isn't what it used to be. There's probably a really good opportunity if you know what you're doing to buy office space. I remember San Francisco's having somewhat of a comeback here. They seem to be doing like on the upswing, but it wasn't like that a year ago and especially 2 years ago. And I know there was a whole group of investors saying, we're going into San Francisco. We want to buy now. Probably one thing that's interesting that people tend to be really hesitant to buy when the market is bad or when a class of real estate is depressed, and they can't write an offer quicker when the market is super, super hot. If anything, you should flip that around. I think it's way riskier to buy when things are at a feverish pitch than when things are depressed. To be somewhat contrary, I would say that would be the best move. So it's a little risky to pay a premium in multiple offers unless you really, really know what you want to do, or you don't care, or you just need a house and you're just going to try to do it the best. But when things are super depressed, you're going to get a better deal. Mm-hmm. But regardless of what it is, you really should execute, you make a good deal regardless of the market. Be disciplined in that way and understand what you're doing. And I think it's really important for people to understand what their home is worth. And this sounds simple, but it doesn't work that way in the real world, to really know what their house is worth when they're going to put it on the market. And when they're buying a house, to really understand the market. When I'm going to work with a buyer, even if they're 6 months away, I want to educate them so they understand the market. So when that opportunity comes up, they jump on it. It's not like it's like you don't want to have that first house that was perfect getaway because you didn't realize what a good buy it was. And the same thing with a seller. I really want to educate them to know the market themselves. Not just me tell them, but me educate them so they themselves can see what the market is. I have a saying that no one buys a house and no one sells a house till they ultimately know what it's worth. So that's when you end up having someone have their house on the market for a year,
Right.
or 2 years, or 6 months, and they haven't sold it. Even if they've gotten, and then sometimes you'll hear people go, God, I should have taken that offer. People aren't going to take that offer until they know what the number is.
Right.
So getting educated for a buyer and a seller, and for the same part for agents, you really need to know what you're talking about. Now, in the luxury space, it's not exact. I can only give you a range of what something is worth. In a development, in some subdivision where there's 1,000 houses and there's 5 different plans, and they were all built within a 5-year span, and the lots vary 20%, and there's certain upgrades that everyone did or didn't do, that's really easy to quantify.
Right.
Here, everything was LA was pretty much developed 100 years ago. And everything else is infill, like a house got torn down or whatever, and then got rebuilt, or someone took a big lot and subdivided it. So in that respect, everything's different and unique, especially when you get up in the hills. There's certain areas that are easier to quantify. There's a real expensive area, the Beverly Hills Flats, that is relatively easy to price. It's like a grid. It goes from the 500 block to basically the 800 block. And there's some streets that are better than others because they go through, and other ones don't go through, or closer to retail or offices or not, or prettier, a number of different factors that make some streets better than others. And as the lots get 5, 6, 7, 8, the lots tend to get bigger. So it's really easy. And everyone who buys and sells there knows what they're doing. But you go up in the hills on all these irregular lots, and they're not all flat. There's a lot of, like, view matters a lot up there, whether what you have and what you don't have, and privacy and a number of other factors. That gets really more complicated to price.
I see. If you were to buy a luxury home anywhere in America, where would you buy?
I often ask myself that question. There's 5 places in LA I would buy. I mean, I would buy a home in Malibu. I would buy a home in Manhattan Beach. I would buy a home in Beverly Hills, Brentwood, Bel Air, Holmby. They're all great. I don't think for myself I'd buy in the Strip, but I certainly get it. And then you could go to, and then Palm Springs and that whole desert area. There's some great houses. That area is really blown up, phenomenal. I've been to, what was that? The Highland, is it? I went to Texas. I forgot what was the name of that suburb. It was great. Very impressive. There's a lot of places. Jackson Hole's great. So there's, I could probably buy a home in a lot. What I would do if I was going to buy an expensive home, like ready to buy one right now, I would go, visit these places.
Right.
I've moved a lot in LA. Every time I move someplace, I just rediscover it, or discover it on a deeper level, understand what it is. So I don't know.
Did you ever buy in Hawaii?
That was the place I wanted to live. I'm a Maui guy.
Oh, okay.
I've been to all the islands, but I'm a Maui guy. And then I did go there with Paul Stukin once for business. And then at that moment, I realized I don't want to live in Maui. I just want to be on vacation.
Right.
But if I would I understand Hawaii to live there? Yeah, I totally would buy a luxury house there. I would buy there. I would buy in Cabo. I think I'd buy in the East Cape of Cabo, which is up and coming, but really cool. Yeah, I would buy in a place like that for sure.
Nice.
Would I buy something in New York? Possibly. I get that. Soho.
Yeah. So our last question, because we have to wrap things up, but if there's an 18-year-old right out of high school, just got his or her real estate license, planning to be a real estate agent, what advice do you have to them?
First of all, you should get a really good skincare regime going right now. You're just hanging out in the sun. You got to just start working that right now. Don't underestimate that. Besides, what I would tell them is, I would specialize in something. I would work under someone that knows what they're doing, but I would get a specialty, and I would learn the market better. I would learn some part of the market better than anybody Be obsessed with it. Knowledge is definitely power. Expertise, and not just expertise, intelligence. That's the one thing AI can't give you intelligence. It can just gather information.
Right.
So if you become that absolute, like, you know more about an area than you know one side of the street from the other, every single sale, obsessed about it, and start with a small area. You become invaluable to other agents and you become invaluable to buyers and sellers. But that's what I would do.
Nice. I like that. Gary Gold, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
You're
so
welcome.
nice meeting you.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.